to everyone out there who is watching us from Wales Television. We have a panel of educators in the house this afternoon, and together we'll be having a conversation about education in the country and globally. We'll also be talking about the challenges, we'll be preparing solutions, we'll be talking to the government, we'll be talking about parenting in the 21st century. We'll be talking to teachers, we'll be talking to students alike. So I'd like to ask that you join us even as we start this conversation. I am Evangelist Lillian Badimosi, and I have to my immediate left the Oyo State coordinator of the Association of Christian Schools International, and then that's Mrs. Bola Harume. You're welcome.
Thank you.
Okay, and then to her immediate left is Mrs. Moni Sola Adeyoluwa, the Pioneer State Coordinator of the same SSI. Let me also talk about their schools. Mrs. Aharume is the proprietress and the Chief Executive Officer, the founder of Golden Barrel Schools, nursery, primary, and secondary. And Mrs. Adeyoluwa is the founder and Chief Executive of Shalom Christian Schools, nursery, primary, and secondary. And then to my immediate right is Dr. Oluwafumilayo Matthew, the proprietress of Christian Nursery and Primary School, and also a member of the association's executive. I am Evangelist Badimosi. Like I said, I'm the proprietor, the founder of Christ Ambassadors International College and Juniors International School. Together, we trust that God will help us to have this conversation that will be of benefit to everyone who is listening out there. Once more, you're welcome. Okay, so we want to thank God that right now schools are on holiday. I'm sure everybody is happy. Parents are happy. At least everybody can breathe a sigh of relief. Students can also take a break. Yes, summer school is starting all over already. Teachers too can at least have some light work. So between now and September, when schools will be resuming in Nigeria, and I know that in some parts of the world, in America, they resume in August, I think, and I know that in the United Kingdom and some countries in Europe, they resume early September. But I know Nigeria will resume middle of September. So we just vacated, and we just want to look back to say how has the session been? What were the challenges that we encountered? What are the preparations we should be looking at against resumption? And then we'll now talk about other areas where we need to delve into this afternoon. Can I ask Mr. Harume to just share with us your experience in the just completed academic session?
Good afternoon, dear educators in the house and everyone out there watching us live from Wales Television. Thank you, man. Of course, we just rounded off the 2024-2025 academic session, and we thank God for grace and strength from every one of us, because we are all stakeholders in education, either the government, from the state schools, or the private school owners who are proprietors. We are representing them at this time, and the parents out there, the students, all learners out there. Yes, we are on holiday now, and we trust God that we'll be able to make use of the holiday to refresh and retreat and refire, just like I always say. yes, so that when we are coming back in September, we are coming strengthened and refreshed. So we want to quickly look at one or two things that we have encountered in the past, and we just finished the session. Number one that I will look at is, at least from the angle of private school, of course we'll still look at the state-owned schools, because all schools belong to the government. Technically all schools belong to the government. We work together. It's a collaboration, and we are all stakeholders. Yes. But for us in the private sector, from funding, access to resources that from other countries are available to private school owners, whereby they can support them with grants to run their schools. So many programs. This is age of technology, innovation, and we need money to run this. Ideas are flowing in, but we need funding from the government. We were looking at an opportunity for the government to call us as collaborators and say, okay, let's look at this. What do we have in mind? And then we can rub minds together and get support from them. Of course, it's going to spill into the state schools too. And another thing I want to look at is the employment of teachers, the ends, because no school will run without the teaching staff, administrative staff, management, whatever level. But largely there is shortage of teacher. I mean qualified teachers, teachers who are really trained, who are committed, who are passionate about what they do as educators. We call them educators, they are all teachers, but we are all educators. But we will look at an opportunity, we're looking for an opportunity whereby there will be a kind of collaboration between the state, because there is something we are witnessing in the nation presently, between the state schools and the private schools. And this is our teachers having to live in the middle of the session. You see a teacher this time.
I want us to come back to that. Thank you so much, Mr. Harome. There's so much to talk about in the house. There's so much to talk about in the house. And, as educators, we all have these burdens.
Yes.
Like Mr. Harome has said, we believe that we are collaborators with the government, whether at the national level or at the various state levels. So we are partners in progress with the government. And we experienced something in the course of the just concluded session, and that wasn't the first time, where government will be recruiting teachers to the public sector during a school session, the academic session. And so many schools were, negatively impacted. There were schools where the principal, the vice principal, teachers, some schools, lost about 6, 7, 8 teachers to the government, and while recruitment is good, I mean, it's the duty of government to provide jobs, for her citizens. So it was actually good news. But we were just wondering that, and this is where we should be, having these conversations, and we are trusting that, those who should know about this will get to watch this program on World's Television. So we were thinking, and we had this conversation that ideally, maybe government should look at January to June for their recruitment exercise. These teachers can obtain permission in their different schools. They can tell their employers that, government is recruiting and I'd like to, apply, which is okay. I mean, we are talking of gratuity, you are talking of pension, which they can get to enjoy in the government sector. So we are not against that. We're just, we'd like to just advise that January to June, they can consider doing that recruitment at that time, so that whoever is successful, by the end of June, they get to drop their resignation letters in their respective schools, telling their employers that they will be leaving at the end of July, which signifies the end of any academic session. So this gives these schools too time to also recruit and fill those vacancies created by the teachers who are leaving. So we have August to do that, and then whoever gets whoever gets employed, whoever gets this offer from private schools can then be asked to resume in September. So that way, there's a seamless transition. Because like I say all the time, whether government in state-owned schools or private schools, whether children in state-owned schools or private schools are all citizens of Nigeria. And they are all responsibilities of the government. And like we always say, that government should see private schools or private school owners as collaborators. Mr. Adilu, can we have your thoughts about this? The relationship between government and private school sector.
Thank you very much. And let me say greet those that are watching at the moment too. Actually, it's been like the government sector is seeing the private sector as competitors, as if we are competing with them, and in actual fact, it's not supposed to be like that. And where every time government will come, pay this, pay that, different levies here and there. At times you look at it and say, how many children? How do we get all this? How do we operate? How do we survive? I believe that, as Mrs. Harome has rightly said, we need encouragement. Private schools need encouragement. we need grants, we need support of government.
Yeah.
Many of the children in our schools also come from civil service. They belong to civil servants. So why can't they take private schools be taken as I once said it, and I think at the time I even said, look, they are your children. Children in the private schools belong to the government. So they should take them as their children and also care for them. Caring for teachers in public schools, let them also care for teachers in private schools. It will help and it will encourage. And then whatever now they now ask us to do, we know that government, there was even a time we asked that, can they be, in those days, can they be giving us, we were even asking for chalk, chalks to use. That was some years back. And so give us some, and we know that you are giving us something. And then we'll be able to at least give some support too. But everything, it's always...
Okay, thank you, Ms. Adeyelua. I think I probably understand where government is coming from. Government would wonder, or would think, after all, private schools, you charge fees. But what I want to say is this: where we do have some support at whatever level, no matter how minute it is, if we have that support, encouragement in terms of grants and what have you from the government, that could help to also stabilize, or at least help to it would eventually have an effect on the fees charged, because all these levies, at the end of the day, you have to put it back on your bill. And especially in today's economy, where things are not the way they used to be, where the average family is actually struggling to make ends meet. You want to call on the government at various levels to please come to the aid of the Nigerian child. We trust that God will give you that needed grace to do all that you can to support these children, because like we said, they are our children, they are your children. God has given them to us to nurture, and together we are going to give an account to God, at the last day. I want to quickly go to Dr. Oluwafunilayo Matthew. We're talking about challenges, and I know that one of the challenges that school owners have now is discipline. The average child, especially in today's generation, is Gen Z, the Gen Z, times are different. Yes. In our days, the way we were raised, the community raised a child. Those days, if you did something wrong and somebody in your neighborhood scolded you, your parents will even say thank you.
Yes.
If a teacher, disciplined you, you would even be afraid to go home and tell your parents that the teacher did this to you, because your parents will probably come to the school to say, well, well done, teacher, I want you to do more. So we understand that times have changed. We live in different times and climes, so we understand that parenting in the 21st century cannot be, compared to what it used to be. But how do we then strike a balance? How do you strike a balance?
All right, thank you so much, Ma, and I appreciate as state coordinator of ACSI, Association of Christian Schools International, and thank you so much, our pioneer coordinator. Discipline, when we talk about discipline, it should be everybody's responsibility. It should be from the parents, and it should be from the society, likewise the school. I know this the school is also is part of the society. So in our hosts or coordinator said now, that in the olden days, when parents discipline their children, is always a collaboration. The mother will support the father, and the father will support the mother. So the society in these days, we should see the society as one of the couples. Maybe the family as the husband and the society as the mother. So if parents are disciplining their children from the home front, I think the society should also support. What am I saying? For example, the school is part of the discipline agency. So if any school or any parent, although some people will say, I'm disciplining a child, and they will be inflicting the children. Discipline is different from inflicting. That is why some parents will flare up they will get annoyed that this is not discipline. You can't inflict my child and say you are disciplined. You can't cane a child with marks on their bodies and you are saying you are disciplined. But let's put it this way, that every child must be disciplined. Disciplining is not all about flogging and inflicting or, putting wounds on children. Discipline is treating, showing children the right way to live. So if parents are doing it, there's another thing I say about disciplining these days, that if parents are doing the right thing, I think there's a little to what schools should do. I remember when we were young, like Mommy Bademosi just said, you dare not go home and tell your daddy that Mrs. mentioning the name of your teachers, Mrs. so beat me or he caned me, because my father will have told you before leaving home that if they are mentioning names of noisemakers or lazy people or people that are causing trouble in the society, don't let your name, if we mention his surname, don't let this name be mentioned. Just make sure you are representing this, even in the church. It will, not only in the school, it will tell us, even in the church, if they are calling out names of people that are troubling teachers or pastors, it will mention our surname then. Don't ever let this name be mentioned. And we know that you dare not just allow that name to be mentioned. So if parents are doing the real disciplining at home, there's a little to what the school should do. But disciplining is just the key, because it says a lot about the background of the children.
Thank you so much, Dr. Matthew. In addition to what Dr. Matthew has said, it's about setting boundaries. If you are talking of discipline, we want to look at the practical aspect of it. When I am set to discipline a child, the first thing should be that I want to do so in love. In love. If I have that at the back of my mind, whether I'm a parent, I'm a teacher, I'm a school owner, if I have the mindset that what I'm about to do, number one, must be done in love. Number two, I must effectively communicate to the child. I say that we are talking of, parenting now in the 21st century. Again, the days are over when parents will just shout at the child and say, "Be quiet," and the child goes quiet. In today's generation, the average child can say, "Mommy, why?
Why should I be quiet?"
Why, exactly. And you must answer that question.
Yes.
So it's one of the challenges we have too with educators. Because again, some of our teachers too have the old mindset of this was how I was raised and this is the same thing I'm going to do with you in the class.
Times have
But yet,
changed.
the times are different.
So
Times
training,
have changed.
so training.
That's why we said this program, this conversation is about talking to the government, stakeholders, all stakeholders, whether you be a government, you're a parent, you are a school owner, you are an educator, we are all in this business, together. And we are here to learn, to support, to encourage one another. So to the teacher now, I want you to know that it's not business as usual. You must find a way of engaging with this generation. If you are to teach them and if they are to listen to you, then there must be that relationship. If you succeed in driving them away from you, then believe you me, you've lost them in the classroom.
Yes.
I mean, we are talking of the 21st century child. So the first thing is to be in their world, understand their language, set boundaries, be willing to answer their questions. So as they ask you questions, don't think, "Oh, you are very rude," because that is the mindset of the average teacher, especially in this part of the world. The first thing is, "Oh, you are the one spoiling them." So when the school owner says, no, engage with the children, answer their questions. The average teacher thinks, you are the one enabling the children, you're empowering them to be rude, and it's not that. They simply want to know. It's about being inquisitive. So if I say why, I should tell you, okay, you want to know why? If I don't even wait for them to ask you why, that's where effective communication comes in. So if I'm telling you, I don't want you to sit there, darling, I'm also letting you know why you shouldn't sit there.
Exactly.
Don't just throw instructions, out there. So if I'm saying Daniel or Tito or Bola, I don't want you to sit there because you'll be blocking the child behind you.
That's interesting.
That's it.
Can I say something? Can I say something about that? There is this class teacher. Anytime they are going for the activities outside, they will say, "Don't run on the stairs. Don't run on the stairs. How we do this? How we do this?" And they keep running. One day, as they were running, she just sat down and was like, "What kind of children are these?" And I called and I said, "You've always yelled at them that they shouldn't run on the stairs. Have you ever told them why?" She said, "No." I said, "Okay, now, hello children, if you run on the stairs, you might miss your steps and therefore you fall, you might break your hand or your leg. Would you want that to happen?" No. Do you know since that day, they now became accountability partner to one another. Mrs. So has said you should not run on the stairs so that you won't break your leg. You won't break your hand. So instruction should be in the positive, and it is to give a sort of orientation that is protective of the child. That you are actually looking for my interest and not to punish me. And that's where discipline and punishment differs. When you discipline, like moderator has said, when you discipline, you are already trying to protect the child so that the child will not harm himself or herself one way or the other. But punishment inflicts injury, and an injury is negative and against the child. So as you are coming, the child is ready to protect himself or herself from your punishment on the defensive. But when they know it's for their own interest, they will listen. And that's where we should tell them why you are doing what, why they should not do what. Instruction in the positive and lovingly communicated so that they can imbibe.
Thank you so very much. I'm enjoying this conversation. This is still educators, in the house, and this is Wells Television. I trust that you are enjoying this conversation as well.
Thank you.
Next, I want us to talk about another thing, that I believe, because we are talking about things that happen in schools, what you have observed, what you are going through, what can help us to have a better session, And we are talking, like you said, to the government, to school owners, to our parents, to our tutors, and then we'll be talking to the children themselves later. Okay? Parents, is it just do as I do or do as I say? Is it just do as I say or do as I do? And what do I mean by that? It's time for parents to live out, the life they want to see in their children. You understand? So when a parent says, we say school starts at 8, for instance, and the parent is just maybe turning in bed at 7:45, and then the child comes late to school, and then this child grows up and doesn't understand what punctuality is all about, and where that is not addressed, the child grows up, gets a job, begins to come late to work, may lose that job, and then you want to trace it back to foundation. So I want us to still talk about, maybe I'll come back to my idea lower, to look at the living by example from the angle of parents. So come to teachers too, because again, so when teachers too, you're in the classroom, you're using your telephone when you're supposed to be teaching. What again are we passing on to the children? So discipline is all encompassing, and it's something every one of us must embrace. So I just wanted to talk about that briefly, and everybody will have a great at that as well.
I always say something, that God will help today's parents. Because if you look at some of our parents, they expect a lot from the school. They don't believe that they are at fault. They expect a lot. And on some instances, I've met parents that say, like, we don't know what to do. That is why we have sent them to your school. And when they say they don't know what to do, they have sent them to your school. You just look at them and say, you don't know what to do. If a mother should say that, I don't expect my child to be sweeping. I don't expect my child to be washing his clothes or her clothes in the boarding house. Though I know that in some places maybe you have those who wash for them and things like that. But some believe that let us train these children. Because I had an experience that parents disagreed with me that children should wash their clothes. Nobody should wash for them. And then they should be able to do housework because they don't want them to come home. Some parents argued that. And some said, why are they in the school? Why are they in the body? Can't they wash it for them? That type of thing. But what am I saying is that parents expect too much from the school.
Sorry, man. I don't mean to cut in, but I don't want us to leave, because you just made a very pungent statement there, and it's part of the conversation we're having. And I think maybe to help both parents and school owners, I think it's good to have clearly defined, expectations and policies. You understand? So that we don't have this conversation, we don't have this issue. Like you rightly said, maybe there are parents who would want their children to do that in school. Maybe that's how they have trained them at home, and they want to see a continuation in the school. But some parents who will also tell you, no, I've paid the school, my child is meant to be in school to learn, to reduce distraction, so that even I as a mother am not forgetting that the child must have time to study. I'm not forgetting that the child will have an assignments to turn in. So I'm not calling the child to join me in the kitchen, come and do the dishes. That's why I send the child to the boarding school. So such parents who would wonder, then why are you asking my child to study? If I'm paying extra to have the child in your care, it's because I wanted the child to have more time for his or her studies. Then that would be. So what I'm saying here is there should always be that conversation from the beginning. So that if a parent is looking for a school where children are made to do the dishes, you look for such schools. And if you are looking for a school where there should be support staff, there should be a support system in place. Again, they know. So right from the beginning, expectations are clearly defined, and there's no you have those things are clarified, and there's no, you don't have any confusion. Just to say that what I was still looking at is, when we are talking of discipline, I would like to also appeal to parents that even when a teacher has offended, if you think offended in quotes, do you understand? That you don't begin to degrade the teacher in the presence of your children. You can come to the school, have a conversation with the school leadership. Because those are, you are not at home, and maybe over your dining table, you are telling, I'm coming to your school tomorrow, I'm going to deal with that teacher. So how does that child respect the teacher?
Exactly.
And
it's why when you said that.
Unfortunately, I say this now, it's very difficult to get good teachers.
Yeah.
We don't even have teachers like before.
Good or not good.
No, because nobody wants to do education anymore. And it's because of these issues we are talking about. That is the reality of our time. And these are educators in the house, and I believe you are speaking for all educators.
We are parents bringing whips.
If you call 20 children and you say, how many of you want to be teachers, you will not find one hand. I still did something like that recently, and not one hand was up. In the past, you may even still find a few hands. And then I would normally tell them, so what do you want to become in the future? I want to be this, I want to be that, I want to be this. I said, beautiful. So how do you become all of that if there are no teachers? And that's why I want to appeal to parents. My colleagues will still, also have one or two things to add to that. I want to appeal to the government. Let's pay teachers well. I want to appeal to school owners, as the Lord helps you, pay your teachers well. And then parents, we need you to help us to raise children who are disciplined, who would somehow allow the teachers to have joy in the work they do, so that teachers are not frustrated. I always say to children, now, if you went to a hospital to see a doctor, would you insult the doctor? They will say no. If you had a lawyer, if mommy and daddy had an issue and you invited the lawyer to your house, would you insult the lawyer? They'll say no. I say, so why would you then disrespect the teacher? So they are also graduates. Some of them have their masters, if you have their PhD. So that's why now you see people not wanting to come into education, that there's no respect, for teachers. So how do we change that, narrative? What do we do? What's the solution to that? Mr. Harume?
I think it starts from the government.
Okay.
It starts from the government. When the government begins to project the profession as one that it is. I tell people it's a honorable profession. It's the mother of all profession. There can be any other profession without teaching. Even the doctors are being taught one way or the other. When we begin to give them the right of place, and then we look at the condition of work or of service, look at how we can improve them, look at how they can support them. Like something happens sometimes. There was a meeting for teachers to come around and school proprietors. You know, we were waiting for the meeting that day, and I looked around the place, and I was like, the whole place, you know, littered, not prepared, everything. And I was like, what is this? If it were to be lawyers meeting, having their MBA or NMA, will it be like this? So these are some of the things that affect the mentality of teachers. The ambience, even where they work. How is it? You go to some of our schools now, I don't want to be specific, whether state school or government school, you can hardly find table and table and chair for the teacher. You understand? And you look at the corner, the textbooks are outdated. They are to buy their textbooks if they must do their work. So some of these things, we need a fresh reorientation and proper placement of this profession, a place of prestige that will delight people from coming in. I tell people, if education is not properly looked into, in the next decade, we might not find teachers again, because nobody wants to be disrespected. There is an expectation around esteem for everyone. If it is not met, people will begin to leave. In fact, they use teaching now as a stopgap. I'm expecting interview from so bank, from so company. They said it's November, they are recruiting. I've supplied my letter. This is February. And between March and July, let me teach. So you teach between March and July. September, the teacher is gone. Something has to be done. The society also, the way parents, you know, a child over the table reported the teacher, and the parents said, the father said, don't mind your teacher is very stupid. And as a child, honestly, a life story, and as a toddler, got to school the following day, we are forgetting that they are very smart these days. And he said, good morning, Miss so. My daddy said you are very stupid. Can you imagine? Now the day is already spoiled. For that teacher. What do you want from that teacher that day? A toddler reporting to her face that the dad said is stupid. Do you know, I had to subtly come in. You know, I had to, call the father that this is no good. It's like insulting your driver, and you will still want him to drive you. And we have to be careful. Your child is in the class, so all of this, the parents should also learn to respect. Like I said, they go to the doctor, they listen to the doctor. Even if doctor is giving them paracetamol for typhoid, they will take it because it's coming from the doctor. But most of the time, when the teacher gives instructions, don't tell the teacher, what does your teacher know? The parent said, this is my method. Don't. I studied engineering.
Which is going to take me to the next next issue. This is going to take me to the next issue because it's a serious matter.
It's a serious matter.
We are discussing.
Yes.
The recently released cutoff, I think it was by JAM for different institutions. For medicine, for law, different courses, and then for teaching, education. For those education, it was 100
for education.
100, yes. And I know that some of us in education were like, this is another challenge that we have. Now, why would you come down so low? Already you are telling us that it's the maybe those who are struggling. We are not looking for the best hands in education. And then when the teachers are now struggling, we now say, what does the teacher know? But like Mr. Harume said, it has to start with the government. It has to start with the government. In Finland, I keep using this as an example, we were told that in Finland, teachers are one of the best sets, of
paper.
Yes. So we are talking of the fact that excellence in all we do, it will attract the best people, So it's something government really must look into.
Intentional about it and purposeful about it.
Exactly.
There is need to encourage young people nowadays to go into teaching professions. You realize that there are many universities now don't even have faculties of education.
Oh my God.
And on one occasion when I asked the vice chancellor, why don't you have it, said nobody applied for education, and they cannot be funding a department of faculty where there are no students and things. So there is need, at least for the sake of the future of the child in this country or in whatever, there is need for the government to be very purposeful and intentional in encouraging people to go into education, to study, not 100 as mass man. Both private and public. like they do in Finland. They give grants to private schools. It will go a long way to encourage them and to help them. So if such things can be done in our own space or country or state, it will go a long way to help the child, to help education, to get the best.
But I'm just thinking now, you said the cutoff is 100.
Yeah.
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah.
You want the crop of people that will teach, train, instruct, mentor those who will excel as lawyers, who will excel as top engineers, who will become technocrats, entrepreneurs. It is the set of people you feel that are below IQ that will produce the IQ people. Is there no irony in that? Those who you feel are not up to it, and you think they will produce.
It's a sad reality of our time.
No,
it
shouldn't. It shouldn't.
We hope that government is listening, because
Yes.
it's something that we find worrisome. And if you want to see an improvement in the educational sector, then like Mr. Adudua said, we need to be intentional, we need to be purposeful, we need to go back to our drawing board, we need to sit down, we need to have these conversations and look at the things that we need to change so that we can have a better Nigeria. The Lord will help us in Jesus' name.
There's need for
May I quickly
collaboration.
just say something about this aspect of discipline? May I just tell parents out there that you can help your children to respect their teachers? Yes, you can. You can give them a kind of orientation at home that you need to be obedient, be polite, be obedient, and be ready. Yes, be ready to go the extra mile in the class. There's something that is psychological. If your children respect their teachers, there's no way the teacher will not go an extra mile to teach your children. It's not about, at times, most of the times, it's not about what you give it's part of it. Let me say it's not part of it. The package, the financial package is part of what motivates teachers. But respect is part of it. And you know the funniest things, the proprietors, the government will not respect teachers. They can only motivate teachers. But the respect teachers need come majorly from their students. So let's help our children at home that you must be obedient. It doesn't cost them anything. You understand? The teachers may not be very, very delivering to you what you expect in terms of understanding the children, but the school, like we are discussing now, the school also will be putting some programs in place to orientate and to train teachers, because teachers also need to understand the children, like Mom Bademosi just said now, that we need to understand the children of nowadays. We need to go into their world. But there are some lessons we can expose our children to, that if you are upset or if you don't really like what your teacher is saying, can you still express yourself in this way? Like, instead of saying my daddy said there are ways we too can train our children. No, the Bible says train up a child in the way he should go. A child, not a student. If the Bible has said train up a student, that means the Bible is referring to the school. But the Bible is saying train up a child. So you need to train your children. Yes. Let's train them.
Thank you so
Parents
much,
are actually
Dr.
the first teacher.
Yeah. And to the teachers who are listening, I want to encourage you that the work you are doing is as unto the Lord. So even when the children tend to disrespect you, because you must strike a balance, when the children, because again, children sometimes will be children, do you understand? Sometimes under, because of peer pressure, a parent would have done their work at home, then the child comes to school, sees one or two friends, wants to behave like them. So you can't rule that out. And that's also why we are there. So we are not saying that the school should just fold their arms and do nothing. We would work with parents. And then when you have such cases, let the teachers to not take out that frustration out on the child. Can we also just report to the school leadership so that they can invite the parents of such a child to school, have a proper conversation with the parent, and then at the end of the day, it is that we want to see a child who is well-rounded. So don't also get so angry that you begin to now use words or send them home. Some people do that. Before you know it, you are saying things you shouldn't say, and then when we ask, you say, it's because the child provoked me. Please receive grace in the name of Jesus. So finally, I just want us to look at the impact of social media. social media on this generation. We don't have too much time left, and we must talk about social media. It's whether we like it or not, that's the age we live in. It's because of the social media digital space. That's why you can also watch us on this program, Wells Television. So how do we balance that? Again, I believe we should be talking more to parents, because we are talking about management of social media by children, especially those that are still of secondary school age, even up to university.
Yes,
So what should parents be doing to ensure that their children are protected from the negative side of social media?
Thank you, ma'am. Of course, technology has come to stay, and like every other thing in life, there are pros and cons. I think we should connect with her from home. Parents should make time to connect with their children and let them see how they can benefit maximally from this technology via social media or whatever kind of interaction they want to make, and let them see the other side. If you do this, these are the implications. If you do this, these are the implications. These are sites that can help your assignment, that can help your education, that can help you connect positively and learn and gain some, positive knowledge. But if you go this way, this can happen, this can happen. Having said that, if parent is trying to get their children, their words, to say, okay, you just have to balance, moderate whatever you do on the internet. How about us? If parent is going to pornography sites, parent is going to the dark world, parent is going to some site that are doing some things, and then they just stumble on your phone and they saw that maybe you just say, hey, hello, who is there? You are knocking, somebody is knocking the door, and by the time they peep into your phone, it's something awesome that they are seeing. Of course, when you are not there, they will also explore.
Exactly.
The level of curiosity will make them go, that thing that daddy is always watching, they also want to watch. They will leave their work. And then some of them will use their phone to the night. We should also be accountable also. At this stage, we should know that they can't totally control themselves. So they still need some level of guidance, meaning that set boundaries. There was a time in my house I said, by 8 p.m. come and submit your phone. If they don't come to submit, there's a way I seen everybody submit and not submit, and like that I will collect their phone and drop where we're supposed to drop it. Otherwise, they will sneak the phone in and they will watch or play or chat all through the night, and by the time they wake up in the morning, they wake up with heavy heads. And even good morning will be an insult to them. And so when they get to school, the teacher will need their attention. The body is calling for a biological responsibility, and then they are juggling between the two. They will, of course, go back to the teacher, go back, and it affects their studies and their overall mental health and relationship around them. So we need parents also to guide them. Get to their rooms in the night, check what they are doing.
Exactly. But the most important thing is remember that those children have been given to you. You are meant to look after them. They came from God. God is their father, and He has just handed them over to you as their custodian, and that someday we will stand before God to give an account. So ensure that the children monitor what they are doing, be present in their life, set boundaries, set time limits, and set a good example.
Yes.
And I know that if we do all of that, work with schools, work with the community, work with counselors, and I want to believe that God will help us to raise well-rounded children. To all educators out there, we want to thank you for the good work you are doing. It's a great work. We are building lives. We are molding lives. It's a platform to build a life. You are building a nation. So we are nation builders. So don't get frustrated even when the funds are not coming as it should. Remember that there's a God in heaven who called you to this assignment. So let every educator know that we are supporting government to raise, responsible citizens of every nation, and by the grace of God, will not fail God.
Amen.
I want to trust that you've been blessed watching this program. Just educators in the house, sharing, from my experiences to encourage, to inspire, and to motivate. I want to just again thank Mrs. Moni Sola Adeyoluwa for coming on the program. Thank you so much. Mrs. Bola Harume, thank you so much for being here. Dr. Bafmila Mati, thank you very much.
And
I'm Evangelist Lillian Badimosi. We are all educators, and it's a privilege to be here today. So don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel at Wells Television. turn on the notification button. Like on Facebook at Wells Television, and on X, follow at Wells Television. Till we come your way again. It's
Happy
bye for
summer
now.
holiday.
God bless you.
Thank you for watching.
Bye.